Yo, what's good, fam? It's your girl Naia, the self-crowned reaction queen. Back at it again with another lit reaction. Today, we're diving into this wild video by Samyam titled, I paid Fiverr devs to make a game in Unreal Engine 5. Like, hold up, who doesn't want to see what happens when you throw some cash at random devs and see what kind of game they whip up? I'm already cracking up thinking about the chaos that's about to unfold. You know I'm all about those hilarious moments and unexpected twists, so you know this is gonna be a ride. If you're as curious as I am, stick around because we're about to uncover some serious gaming gems or maybe some epic fails. And before we jump in, make sure to smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get into it.
Making video games is hard, especially AAA games that have huge worlds and incredibly realistic graphics, but modern tools have made it much easier to reach that quality. So I decided to test this by hiring 3 Fiverr developers with
Hiring developers from Fiverr, that's a bold move. It's like a game show where you hope for the best but brace for the worst. Let's see how this turns out.
with different budgets in development category. Specifically, freelancers with experience in Unreal Engine 5, because that's the easiest engine to get AAA quality graphics fast. And don't quote me on that. Now there's a lot of promising game developers on here, so to choose the best ones for the job, I decided to use Fiverr's level system and choose a freelancer from each one. There are 3 levels in Fiverr, the lowest being L1 and the highest being top rated, where you need to have done at least 40 orders and over $10,000 in revenue. So we can expect to get a really good game out of a top rated seller, with the lowest budget being in the L1 tier. And at the end of the video, we'll rate each game based on graphics, gameplay, controls, and the communication with the seller, which is a really
Rating the games based on graphics, gameplay, and communication? That's a solid plan. It's like a game developer's report card. Can't wait to see how they stack up.
which is a really underrated part about working with a freelancer. Okay, so first we need to find our lower tier developer, and I only have a budget of around $10. I know it's not a lot, but I'm really curious to see how far 10 bucks can go. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people willing to make a game for 10 bucks, obviously, but one developer in particular stood out while I was searching. Ask, pretty sure I butchered that name, from Malaysia, has experience in not only Unreal Engine 5, but Blender. Seemed like a good deal to me, so I decided to shoot them a message with the requirements. Now there's a simple reason that I chose a superhero game for this challenge. It's apparently almost impossible to make a good Superman game, and I wanted to choose something a bit different than just a shooter.
A Superman game being almost impossible to make? That's wild. It's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. Can't wait to see how this challenge unfolds.
A shooter where they could easily use an asset with barely any changes and call it a day. Is it a bit evil? Maybe. While we wait for them to respond, let's find our level 2 developer. Now we have a bit more options since my budget is $100. So I messaged a few potential candidates that had very solid portfolios. However, I decided to add a little bit more requirements to this project to see how they would react. Safe to say, $100 is kind of a low budget for a AAA game. Who would have thought? Getting blocked on Fiverr is another level of pain. Luckily, one developer.
Getting blocked on Fiverr? That's rough. But hey, finding a developer with solid experience like Mohammed could be a game changer. Let's see what he can bring to the table.
Luckily, one developer named Mohammed from Egypt did respond and seemed rather enthusiastic to participate in this challenge. Although he thought the $500 tier would be a better fit, I was on a budget. So after some back and forth, we decided on $200. Which is still a good deal. It was a bit over my planned budget though, but I sensed some potential, so I went with it. Now, I'm not totally evil. I told them they can use as many assets as they want to finish the game as fast as possible, and that I was aiming for a more polished demo with good gameplay and good graphics. But now that we got our level 2 developer, it was time to find our magnificent AAA top-rated seller. A lot of hopes for this person. And with a budget of $1,000, we now had way more options. I found 2 promising developers with great portfolios. One of the responses was not what I was expecting at all, but while I was waiting for that, the lowest tier developer finally got back to us. Hi, sorry for the late reply. I think I may be able to do your project, but as of now, I'm going to sleep. It's 4 a.m. Okay. An honest person. I like it. And the next day,
Waking up at 4 a.m. to work on a project, that's dedication. Gotta respect the hustle. Let's see how this unfolds.
they sent an order for 5 $5. Just look at how much this includes. And while I did accept the offer, I felt kind of bad because $5 is not a lot, and I told them I could do $10, but they said $5, and I don't know how to feel about this. On the other hand, one of the top-rated sellers and my first choice responded to my message. If you're interested in making a game, $1,000 will go a long way towards some good online courses. He's right, but still sad. Meanwhile, Ferrero, the other top-rated seller from the United Kingdom, expressed interest and told me he'd put together a demo first before making an offer. Now, I immediately saw the difference in professionalism between the top-rated developer and the other developers, but I was still a bit skeptical because I didn't have an offer on hand, and I had a tight deadline for this video and also a tight budget. But now I had 3 Fiverr developers all making the same superhero game. I'm really curious to see which one provides the most value for the budget spent. As the days progressed, I started to get some updates from the developers. Our $5 developer sent over some videos, and they seemed to be making great progress, but at some point they got stuck, decided to scrap all their progress, and instead use a third-party asset with some of the core mechanics already in place. Then they started to work on the AI for 2 different kinds of enemies, a ground type and a flying type. As they finished working on the game, let's see how our level 2 developer is faring. I really liked how they asked me more questions regarding my requirements so that they could get a better
Love that they're asking questions to nail down the requirements. It shows they're invested in making something great. Can't wait to see what they come up with.
They could get a better idea on what to focus on. They even suggested using a previous game they had worked on as a template, but the whole point was to test their skills on working on something different, so no. As for our top seller, Ferrero is really good at communicating and understanding exactly what I want, and I think that's what set him apart from the other developers. Over a few weeks, he consistently sent me progress updates, seeked feedback from me at every major checkpoint, and asked me about the different features I'd like to see implemented. They were also the first one to ask if I wanted to use any specific assets, and I've actually been hiding a secret from all of the freelancers for this whole
Ooh, a secret? This is getting interesting. Can't wait to see what you've been hiding from the freelancers. This could change the game.
period of time. Unreal Engine 5 has a free city sample that includes a flying character with a lot of the mechanics that I actually asked for. So I told them about this sample, and over the next week, they started to integrate the enemies and develop their AI. He chose a few different types of enemies for variety, from ground ones to flying ones, but unfortunately later on said that the city sample was way too big, like over 100 gigabytes big. And it wasn't very
Whoa, over 100 gigabytes? That's massive. It's like trying to fit a whole city into a suitcase. Let's see how they handle that challenge.
It wasn't very extensible, so he decided to go with a different map. Mind you, this whole time, it's been like 2 or 3 weeks, he still has not sent me an offer. You know how stressed I was? I had a deadline in like a week, and I had no idea how much this was gonna cost me. So I actually had to ask him to send me an offer because I was stressing out so much. But I was surprised that he only charged me $700.
$700 for a whole game? That's a solid deal. Sounds like he's got a clear plan too. Let's see how this all comes together.
$100, which was $300 less than my budget for a top-rated seller. Now, after a few weeks of development, all of the developers have turned in their projects, and it's
finally the moment of truth. I can't wait to see how each developer's project turned out. This is gonna be epic.
And it's time to see which one gets closest to the AAA quality that I asked for.
Equipa de segurança da Bolt, ao teu lado, em cada viagem.
So let's see how close 14 days of development and a $5 budget can get us.
All right, here we go. A $5 budget and just 14 days. This is gonna be wild. Let's see what they pulled off.
Can get us to a AAA game. Now, I'm really impressed with how much work the developer did under the time.
Wow, that's actually impressive for a $5 budget. The animations look decent, and the effort is clear. Can't wait to see how the other projects compare.
did under the time constraints. The movement and the controls were really solid, and they even implemented a wave system like I asked for. Now obviously for $5 we can't expect to have amazing graphics, and there are some bugs along with a lack of sound or visual effects, and while the communication could have been a little more professional, they did make sure to ask for feedback constantly, and the actual project was pretty well organized. So I think they over-delivered and did a great.
Sounds like they really stepped up for that budget. It's impressive when developers can pull off something organized and functional under such constraints. Let's see how the next one stacks up.
Did a great job considering the budget. Since that project gave me pretty high expectations, now let's see how much a level 2 developer could make with $200 in 23 days. I don't know what I expected, but this was way better.
Whoa, this looks way more polished. The graphics and mechanics are definitely stepping up. Can't wait to see what else this developer has brought to the table.
The graphics are insanely cool, the atmosphere is perfect, the little
Wow, those graphics are next level. The atmosphere looks intense, and it really sets the mood. This developer is killing it.
cinematic sequence at the beginning is so cool. The controls are really solid.
That cinematic sequence sounds epic. Solid controls are crucial for gameplay, and it looks like this developer nailed it. I'm hyped to see how the gameplay flows.
Controls are really solid. I'm actually pretty sure this developer and the previous one used the same asset for the controls, but it works really well, and there's both flying and ground enemies. The sound effects and background music also give it the perfect vibe. Although there's only one way to attack enemies, which is the laser, I'm still extremely impressed with this project and how good it looks for such a.
This looks fantastic. The visuals are stunning for the budget, and the atmosphere is really immersive. This developer definitely delivered.
For such a small time period of development. Okay, so the expectations are like up here, right? So now the top rated developer has to exceed these expectations because we gave them a budget of $700 and they had a whole 28 days to make the game.
With a $700 budget and 28 days, this should be epic. The visuals look intense, and I'm excited to see how they've pushed the limits.
So this was really cool. And to top it off, Ferrero wrote the character.
That's awesome. Having a custom character adds a personal touch. This game is shaping up to be something special. Can't wait to see more.
Controller from scratch and didn't depend on an asset, which is really impressive and is actually good for a project because you can expand on it easier if it's custom. So we can not only fight enemies on the ground, but in the air. The wave system worked perfectly, the atmosphere suits the main character, it has a variety of different enemies more than the other projects, and even a boss character, and the sound effects plus little add-ons like the screen shake and the user interface moving really add to the game. Some of the environment is even destructible, and while there are some bugs, I'm really impressed at how this.
Destructible environments? That's a game changer. It adds so much depth to gameplay. Despite the bugs, this project looks like a solid win.
At how this turned out. Video. Goodbye.
Alright, we've just wrapped up that chaotic wild ride of a video where Samyam took a leap of faith hiring Fiverr devs to whip up some Unreal Engine 5 magic. I gotta say, some of these games blew my mind. From the surprisingly solid graphics on a $5 budget to that epic custom character, major props to these devs. Yeah, there were some hiccups along the way, but overall, it's like a gamer's treasure hunt, and I'm feeling the vibes. In the end, it's a big win to see creativity thriving, even when the stakes are low. Who knew a bunch of devs could come through like that? If you enjoyed this reaction as much as I did, hit that like button for the love, and don't forget to subscribe to join the Naia fam for all the best reactions. You don't want to miss what's coming next, trust me. Catch you later.